welcome everyone here at the American Clinics for Preventive Medicine. I'm Dr. William Richardson, and we are broadcasting through Periscope, a new device or system. I want to welcome everybody out there in the world, because people can be looking from Dubai, China, France, Africa, anywhere. And I want to let everybody know our website is www.acpm.net. So, as some of you may know, I'm a holistic medical doctor, and been at it since, well, I graduated in 1979, so now everybody knows I'm older, right? But went to Temple Medical School, wanted to be a doctor since 3 years old, so I have very pure intentions in that profession, which I think is great. So we have a holistic medical clinic here in Atlanta, Georgia, in the United States, and we are in our IV room, and some people are actually getting IVs, some are just listening. But today, we want to talk about a very, very, very important subject, and it's detoxification, and specifically organs of detoxification. Before we started this, we asked the audience here what organs there are that detoxify in the body. The main organs are the liver, the kidneys, the skin, and the intestines, and GI tract in general, intestines in particular. So, we have a lot of toxins in our environment. Every year there's like 45 metric tons of arsenic put out in the atmosphere. There's lead, there's aluminum. We, as modern people, have 10,000 times more lead than more pristine times. I was just looking at or listening to on NPR about the 30 million slaves in the world. And a lot of them, unfortunately, are working in very bad environments where they're going in mines and they're not well taken care of. So we have a lot of toxins. We have toxins in our water, our air, the food we eat. So we have diseases that come from toxicity, and that can include neurodegenerative problems like from Parkinson's to Lou Gehrig's disease. How many people know what Lou Gehrig's disease is? It's amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. A baseball player named Lou Gehrig in the United States developed that, and it makes it so you can't even move your body. And we, in general, the medical profession doesn't know exactly what causes it, but there are some studies linking toxicity to such a problem. And the mechanism of that, of course, would be going to the brain and generating neurons or brain cells in certain areas that can do that. And other problems can be cancer. If you brown bread, you'll get acrylamides, and that's linked to cancer as well. And other toxins may be aflatoxin in moldy peanuts that can cause cancer. So there's all types of problems that we have to be aware of with this. But we do have our organs, the liver, the kidney, the colon, and the skin, and we want to talk about the function of these organs. Now, some of the toxins are fat-soluble, and some are water-soluble. So we're talking about drugs, artificial chemicals, pesticides, insecticides, hormones. Even hormones are toxic to us if not handled properly. So the toxins that are fat-soluble can go and be stored in our fat cells for years and come out if we fast, exercise, or go in a sauna, which are mechanisms for detoxification. But you have to know what to do. If you get some, like say in an infrared sauna and you start sweating, you actually have to wipe the sweat away very quickly or it'll be reabsorbed in the skin. And we'll get to that. So that's an introduction to what some of the toxins are. And there's literally thousands of these toxins. And as you know, breast milk now has hundreds of toxins in them. And it's said if a woman is pregnant, do not eat the fish in our country, the United States, because of the toxins in the water. And if you're breastfeeding, do not drink regular apple juice. You have to drink organic apple juice if you're breastfeeding. So that's pretty deep. And knowing that about 1 out of 2 males and 1 out of 3 females in our culture are going to get cancer in industrialized culture like the United States. Other things and conditions, those are some of the specific diseases. But did you ever just get a vague headache or have poor memory or stomach pains, nausea, fatigue, dizziness, and even palpitations? Well, think of the headache mechanism in toxicity. It would be, let's say, the colon backs up. Then toxins that are supposed to be eliminated get through the blood, from the intestinal blood barrier, goes through that into the brain and helps cause headaches. It can cause eczema. It can cause all types of problems when you get these detoxification organs backed up. So, the major organs. Now, I would say the biggest organ in the body is the liver and maybe the skin. Secondary to that, the liver is heavier. Liver is a very large organ in the right upper quadrant of the abdomen. Now it's protected. It's so important it has its own protection from the ribs. So on the right of our bodies, for most people, there's a few, maybe 1 out of 200 million where the liver's on the left. But for most of us, it's on the right, and it's protected by the ribs. It's so important. It's very vascular. So if there's an injury and there's bleeding, people have to get major surgery just to stop it because you can die from bleeding. That's why it's protected by the ribs. And the liver it pulls blood from the regular circulation. It pulls blood specifically from the intestines. So it detoxifies and absorbs the food for use in the body. It comes right to the liver. Well, the liver, therefore, gets toxins from the environment through the intestines and any circulating toxins as well. The liver has 4,000 unique enzymes that are nowhere else in the body for this elimination purpose. So to me, the liver is the most important organ for detoxification. There's 2 phases of detoxification in the liver. There's a phase 1 and a phase 2. The phase 1 is the P450 mixed function oxidase enzyme complex. It's a lot of words, but check it out. What happens is, if you are exposed to a particular toxin and that enzyme is not primed up, somehow through biochemical and neurophysiological mechanisms, it'll feed back to the DNA, the genetic material in your liver cells, and once your body's exposed to a particular toxin, that DNA will make the particular enzymes necessary to eliminate that particular toxin. That's how specific it is. And there's hundreds and thousands of those enzyme complexes. So the first phase, literally, it takes a toxic chemical, manipulates it biochemically through the enzyme system, and makes it less toxic. But there's free radical production with this process. So the free radicals need to be eliminated by antioxidants, like vitamin C, glutathione, beta-carotene, all those. And we need them in a complex because they all work together. You need all of them. And where do you get all of them? Mostly from a whole food diet with all the beautiful different colors. You have different colors of food, and those have different types of chemicals. And for instance, beta-carotene is going to be in yellow food. The green food is going to have all the B vitamins and such. So the free radical production is eliminated by the antioxidants, And the best foods, you could take a vitamin C tablet, but guess what? The whole food is better because you're going to have vitamin C, you're going to have bioflavonoids, you're going to have rutin, polyphenols, and I looked up phenols. I remember from my biochemistry, phenol is, you've got catechin, you've got garlicin or allicin, which comes from garlic. Catechin comes from the grape seeds, excuse me. You've got all these different beautiful colored chemicals that help get rid of free radicals. So that's why whole foods are so important, especially whole food blends. We're really big on blending. How many people have had a smoothie in their life? Just about everybody. Everybody's had a smoothie. I remember when my uncle, he had multiple sclerosis, and he was the first one to make a smoothie. And he's still living. He's lived with this for many, many years. So that's phase one. It does produce free radicals, and it also does produce a backup of less toxic, but still potentially toxic chemicals. Phase two, what that does is render these chemicals through joining them with other water-soluble chemicals that are not toxic, makes them water-soluble. When phase two combines a fat-soluble toxin like a pesticide or something that's been altered, then it hooks on cysteine, glycine, some of these water-soluble chemicals or amino acids, and flushes it through the liver, into the intestines, out, or into the bloodstream through the kidneys and out, or through the skin and out. So you need phase one and phase two. Phase two, if it gets behind, you're going to feel sluggish. That's going to give you headaches, body aches, and all that sort of thing as well. Because phase two isn't catching up. So it's a two-step process. Now, the added nutrients needed for phase two, which helps you feel better when you're detoxifying, are sulfur-containing amino acids like cysteine, taurine, glycine, glutamine, choline, and inositol are other nutrients. Cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, all those sorts of things have specific chemicals to induce the phase two detoxification pathway of the liver. Then garlic, onions, shallots, anything with that sulfur containing component. That's how you deal with getting rid of chemicals through the body, mainly through the liver. Now, liver has specific mechanisms to deal with alcohol as well, but alcohol is a poison to the liver. Alcohol is a poison to the brain, to the heart, so we want to eliminate that or minimize that very, very much. So I'm very, very interested in phase one, phase two liver. So in our clinic, we have ways to actually measure that through the liver detoxification test. We measure how well the phase one and phase two pathways are doing. So what's the other organ that's important? Well, I want to go now to the intestines. So the intestines, the bowels in general, we're talking about multiple mechanisms of detoxification. So this is a very complex issue. One is this getting fiber going to increase the peristalsis. Now, peristalsis is the natural movement of the muscles in eliminating the constituents of the intestines. And fiber is the best bet for that, especially insoluble fiber, which is mostly made from cellulose, which is what makes the cell walls of the plant, so the plant can stand erect. That's made from cellulose. When you eat the plant, then that cellulose acts as a broom and pushes everything out. Then you have insoluble fiber too, which you can find in oats, the pectin, and apples. Now, apples will have both the insoluble and the soluble fiber. So those are all needed to help the intestines detox. Well, not only do you get increased movement of the toxins, because remember toxins, and that can be hormones that are being eliminated by the body that you don't need anymore. It can be pesticides that are hanging out. They're going to be sticking to the intestinal walls, and the fiber pushes it out. And what about the bowel? The bowel is what makes the bowel acids, which are stored in the gallbladder. The bowel is made from the hemoglobin molecule breaking down. That's why sickle cell patients many times get their gallbladder removed, because they have bowel type gallbladder stones, whereas most of us who get gallstones have the cholesterol gallstones because of the excess animal product intake, and we can't handle the excess cholesterol. But the bowel acids are used to break down the fats in the that we eat in the intestines. And those bowel acids have to be eliminated. When it gets backed up, that causes toxicity. Okay, then the fats don't digest. And what we have to do is make sure we have enough fiber to keep everything moving. Now, the fiber intake per day should be at least 20 to 30, 35 grams a day. And you can get that eating your 7 servings of fruits and vegetables every day. So every day we need to eat multiple servings of these things to keep everything moving. That'll keep the bowel moving. That'll keep the intestines moving in general. The other thing you have to think of are binding chemicals that bind and eliminate the excess hormones. This is a mechanism of how meat can cause cancer. What happens is the bacteria in the chicken or the beef that contaminates our households when we eat it what they can do is produce an enzyme called glucuronidase. And this glucuronidase breaks down it breaks apart, say, estrogen or testosterone from the binding chemical reproduced to pull it out the body. And then it recirculates in our body and overstimulates our organs, which can be a causative factor or a promoting factor for cancer. So that's why it's good to eat much more plant-based diet, because you're not going to be exposed to the bacteria that produce this enzyme called glucuronidase. So these, as you see, are very complex mechanisms. But we got one more organ to deal with, and maybe we got 2 more organs actually. We have the skin. So the skin has sweat glands and sebaceous glands, and we're talking about production of water-based toxins coming out the body and fat-based toxins. The best way to get the skin to detoxify, we're talking about dry brushing to get the old skin off so that the pores can be open. Now, dry brushing is done with a loofah sponge. That's dry. You can wet it as well, but the dry sponge really specifically gets the dead skin off. And then infrared saunas and exercise. And remember, you have to get the sweat off of you with the towels. We mentioned that before, or take a shower to get rid of the toxins, otherwise they'll be reabsorbed. These toxins are so necessary to get rid of that doctors now are using infrared saunas for cancer, because there's a lot of toxins with that when you're fighting that type of problem. And also for people who've been exposed over time to pesticides. Remember, these are going to stay in the fat cells. So to get rid of it, the only way to get rid of it is to fast, exercise, or do saunas to break down the fat. And then from there, the sauna, the shower, the exercise, the shower will get rid of these toxins over time. But you just have to do it regularly. Okay? And then finally, the kidneys. The kidneys are important to get rid of certain toxins it's designed to. That's the creatinine, which are breakdown products from muscle, and the BUN, or blood urea nitrogen. So the nitrogen comes from breakdown products when we do amino acid metabolism, because all amino acids have nitrogen, and we don't need excess nitrogen because it produces ammonia. And ammonia in the blood will drive you mad, and that's what happens to alcoholics when their liver can't make blood urea nitrogen from the excess ammonia circulating in the body. And they get this thing called alcohol encephalopathy. Well, encephalo means the brain, pathy means disease, and it's alcohol induced because it's causing the liver not to be able to get rid of the nitrogen out of the body. And then all it does, the urea is water soluble, takes it out through the kidneys. So the kidneys also have electrolyte balancing tools to get rid of excess sodium. It retains potassium when needed. Also, sugar. If you have excess sugar in the body, you know diabetics, they urinate a lot, which makes them thirsty because the kidneys get rid of the excess sugar. And another thing about alcohol, the alcohol goes to the brain and causes the kidneys to make you urinate even more, which is a dehydrating effect. The kidneys block a hormone in the posterior pituitary called antidiuretic hormone, but that's kind of complex. But just drinking alcohol makes you eliminate water. So one does drink alcohol, they should have 2 large glasses of water and then a drink, and then 2 large glasses of water and then a drink. That's a smart way to do it if you're going to take such a poison. And also, the kidneys pull back the magnesium and potassium because we don't, a lot of times we want to retain that. The kidneys also produce several, well, at least a couple hormones. One is called erythropoietin, which stimulates the bone marrow. Another is calcitonin, which helps the calcium metabolism. So kidneys are really important. So briefly, I just want to say what we can do to enhance the elimination processes of these 4 important organs. So for the kidneys, since we just left it, water is going to be one of the main things we can do to keep our kidneys well, keep them with enough water to pull the toxins out the body. And we don't want to overdo it. Insane people drank the equivalent of 40 gallons of water in a day and actually died from it because it dilutes your electrolytes. But I don't think many of us will do that. And then for the intestines, of course, it's a great diet with high fiber, plant-based, organic foods, because why put poisons in? Right? It's very important to eat organic foods. We didn't mention that before. I take it as just a natural part of the lifestyle. And water also is necessary, the fiber, water, organic foods, and whole food blends, because you're going to get all those complexes of the different, like the bioflavonoids in the white part of the oranges or the grapefruit and such. Yes. And then for the liver, the sulfur-containing foods like the leeks, the garlic, the broccoli, the cauliflower, all those types of foods are great for enhancing detoxification of the liver. And then certain supplements can be given that are in liver detox supplements, inositol, glycine, and such. And those are, you can find those in sophisticated nutrition supplement companies. And then staying away from other toxins we don't need would be important for the liver, including sugar, alcohol, caffeine, those types of things. And then, of course, for the skin, the dry brushing, the infrared, and the exercise. So when you look at it, the whole bottom line is eat a whole food, plant-based diet and run and take a shower. to nail it down, to bottom up, because we went through a lot of different changes and phases. So, so I want to open this up to any questions right now. We didn't mention, one thing we didn't mention were the elimination of heavy metals. We did cover that in another lecture, but that's a detoxification mechanism that we enhance The problem with a lot of these toxins is that it stays stuck in the body. The fat-soluble ones stay in the fat, the heavy metals stay in the membranes, because the membranes are fat, so they foul up the membranes of your cells. And then the heavy metals they're stuck in enzyme systems from the body to the brain. So we create a sink through our chelation processes, pulling out these metals. But that doesn't involve, that's more an enhanced mechanism of detoxification. But I just want to mention that. So are there any questions from our audience today regarding these great detoxification organs? Yes.
You mentioned free radicals. Could you define what that is?
Yes. A free radical is an unstable molecule that's generated during some type of process. It can be a chemical process where one toxin comes in and then free radicals may be made when you're eliminating the toxin. So the free radical may have an extra electron on it. And the extra electron is just looking for somebody to bond with, and it'll cause cascades of free radical damage. And the only way to stop it is our antioxidants, because it's an oxidation process that the free radicals do. So basically, it's a very complicated biochemical process, but the free radicals are like ozone species, hydrogen, hydroxyl components, like an OH with an extra electron, and they just wreak havoc to our membrane systems. And we have mechanisms to deal with it, and they involve our internal use of the antioxidant vitamins like A or beta carotene, I should say, C, E, selenium's involved, and then glutathione, which is three amino acids together that have antioxidant effect as well. Yes?
Could you elaborate on buying organic? And the reason I bring it up is because I understand that term can sometimes be used loosely,
Yeah.
and we might want to be educated on how to get a good organic, a true organic.
True that. So the United States does have a way to certify organic farms, and there is a certifying process that I think is pretty valid from the evidence I can see. So you do have to look for organic certified food if you want it to be organic. And studies have actually shown that organic foods have more nutrient chemicals such as selenium and less toxic chemicals like cadmium, lead, and of course pesticides. Now you can look at a red delicious apple that's supposed to be organic and look at a commercial red delicious apple. From my experience, the red delicious apple that's organic looks redder. Then when you smell them, it smells rich with the sweet scent of the apple scent, whereas the commercial apples smell bland and they smell like chemicals. And then when you taste the red delicious apple that's organic, it's a much more flavorful taste, and it has more green in it. The green near the skin, of course, are the B vitamins. And the commercial brand has a more bland, blah taste. Sometime out of desperation, I bought some non-organic fruit, and it's usually quite disappointing. So you do have to have some trust in some of the systems we have set up to certify things organic. Certain countries, some countries may have plenty of organic food naturally, and other countries use the chemicals we stopped using in the United States years ago. So you have to be very picky about this. The more people who buy organic foods, the cheaper they'll be. And of course, the best organic food is the food you grow yourself or sprout yourself. Any other questions? Yes.
What's the best way to detox the kidney and liver?
The best way to detox the kidney is to make sure that we, first of all, the kidney we have to pay great particular attention to. So we want to think about prevention with the kidney. So if somebody has high blood pressure, you want that blood pressure pretty darn happy. I remember I saw a person recently who has some kidney damage from something, and their particular blood pressure was so high. I was so happy. Blood pressure was cool and normal. You know what I mean? And I didn't even think about it during the last visit because I was so happy about that blood pressure. Because, you know, so we want blood pressures normal when we're trying to protect the kidneys. Kidneys are very important. And then adequate water. Now, if you have full-blown crazy kidney, let's say failure, you actually have a fluid restriction. So when you have in-organ damage, the rules can change. It's almost like, I was listening, anyway, my wife said don't go off on a problem. But I will just say this, we may have multiple universes, and believe it or not, in these different universes, the rules of physics may not apply that apply here. And that's really deep, but you can study it if you want. So, you know, if you have full-blown kidney failure, then the rules change as far as what's good for you, literally. But if one has mild kidney failure or just you're just trying to prevent it, then adequate water intake, not overdoing it, but good water intake. And for instance, I saw a patient, she had a salad, and then she had tuna fish and crackers. I said, well, instead of tuna fish and crackers, why don't you just steam some vegetables and have a bowl of black-eyed peas? That might be better than the tuna fish and crackers because the tuna is going to have toxins in it, and it's not going to have fiber. It's not going to have the water. It's going to pool water, suck it out. The tuna can have mercury, which can damage the kidneys. So even what we eat can be harmful to the kidneys. There's better seafood if you're going to eat it, like the white meat, and you can prepare it a certain way and not overeat it. There's ways to do it. So the kidneys, when we exercise, make sure we get enough water. So water, kidneys and water go way together on that aspect. As far as the liver, it's going to be every day we need to eat those vegetables that have a little bit of an odor. And the odor comes from the sulfur. And we're talking about the broccoli, the cauliflower, the leeks, anything with that type of odor, that sulfur odor is going to be good for the liver. And staying away from toxins like alcohol and unnecessary chemicals, like even the fingernail polish the females mostly use. They have phthalates, and the liver has to deal with that. So cut down on our toxic load so the liver doesn't have to overwork. Yeah, that would really, really mean a lot. Artificial colors, all that stuff, unnecessary. Just stay away from unnecessary things that the liver has to deal with. Let's love our livers and respect them. Yes?
Dr. Richardson, when you say water, you're really referring to purified water, aren't you?
This is true. I make that assumption, sure. We're talking about water that doesn't have chlorine, that doesn't have probably fluoride, because, you know, indigenous people never had tooth problems, and they didn't need the fluoride. So, there's different systems. There's alkaline water, this and that. Right now, we're using a system that does distill and then filters. So it's a double system, and the water tastes great. Also, talking about toxins, I would be remiss not to mention the showers. We get more pollution from polluted water in our bodies from taking a shower than drinking those polluted water, because our pores are open and the water's aerosolized, and we absorb that. So all these things work hand in hand. So everybody needs a shower filter. And we just became distributors of shower-wise, water-wise, shower filters. So if you don't have one, pick one up. But yeah, that's the way to help the organ systems maintain. Stay away from those toxins. Somebody else had a question over there.
I was actually gonna ask about water. We were talking about organic foods, and I was thinking about the quality of water and the fluoride debate and what
It
type of
is-
water should we get, you know, looking for municipal sources here, or you'll see distilled water.
I'm trying to stay away from plastics. I used to have water delivered, so I'm gone to all stainless steel and glass. So my water now only touches stainless steel and glass. And plus I get tired of lugging all those. Well, I have to lug it from there to there. But see that on the people outside can see. But that's a glass container for water, and so it doesn't have to touch plastic. You look at our website, acpm.net. That's www.acpm.net. We have loads of information on our site. Please don't hesitate to look at it. We put it there for you. Whether you're a customer of ours or not, it doesn't matter. We want information to go out to the world. And we love everybody. My address to the clinic is 1343 Terrell Mill Road. That's Terrell, and then Mill Road, Suite 100. And that's Marietta, Marietta, Georgia, 30067, United States of America. Our number is 770-419-4471. And again, the website has all that on it, acpm.net. That stands for American Clinics for Preventive Medicine. We say clinics because we're going to have more than one clinic, and hopefully all around the world. Okay? So it will be.